All right, guys, we are on, today we are going to be, I forget to do like a full intro every single time. I just like cut straight to it because I just feel like you guys are family. Hello. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Jess and this is my fasting series. So if you haven't checked out day 1, 2, and 3 of my fast, be sure to watch those videos so all of these things will make sense. So I didn't record day 4, 5, and 6 separately. I just didn't feel the need to, and I thought, okay, let me just combine these because they all kind of have this underlying umbrella. And where I am in day 6, day 4 and 5 led me to there. It just, God and his alignment and everything, it's just hilarious. And the most just like, it's so good, you guys. It is so good. Like, if you guys want to jump on this Jesus train, literally do it, because life-changing. And no, you don't have to have any sort of like gnarly background of church or anything. Sometimes I feel like the people who just find it later in life have no religious background hit the floor running so much more than people like me who grew up in the church and had to kind of like reassess everything. And it's just, I feel like sometimes it can get messier from me, and so people see me and they think, well, you kind of had a head start. It's like, no girl, I kind of wish I was like you. But anyways, so day 4, 5, and 6 of my fast. So there were there was a few, bigger terms, but the whole, I guess, overall umbrella theme that I have come to terms with is missions. So like I was talking about in my vision boards, I had a lot of great things that I wanted to accomplish this year. If you haven't seen my vision board YouTube, you can watch that too. One of them was, getting more involved, like continuing to just kind of help out, but that wasn't a huge part of my board. I did end up realizing that a lot of my board is like things that I want to accomplish on my own for me, which is great and that's fine. But I think this year God is like, yeah, let's do all those things, but let's put me way bigger on your board. Because right now, I mean, my board was like 30% God, 70% me, and he's like, make me 70% and watch me just knock out every single thing on your board like nobody's business. Because that's what happens when you put God first. So I was like, okay, like, let's do that. So day 4 was kind of just going over healing power and praying. And, our mission on earth is to not only like do mission work, but instead of just praying for yourself and whatever, like your mission is to also pray for other people and pray for nations and pray for things like outside of your country, because you are doing mission across the globe. And so there was just a lot of healing power happening between friends. And it really just made me remember to pray past myself, because a lot of the times I'm praying for immediate family members, Tyler, my dog, my mom, me mainly, and that's it. I'm not really extending too much further. So I also had to realize, like, hey, in your time of prayer, make it about others and not so much about yourself, because God will still handle the things for you, especially but when you're really focusing on others, like, he will just take care of the stuff for you on its own without you even like trying or having to focus on that, if that makes sense. So that was day 4. Day 5, I just had a couple other random notes. So I'll just read them out loud and then I can, kind of go further on them later. So the first one is maintaining an eternal perspective. When you have this perspective, this helps you from majoring on minor issues and helps you distinguish what is urgent and ultimate. So, we live our day-to-day lives and sometimes we get wrapped up in the nitty-gritty, or just like what's happening or our impact, or like what's cool, and all of these things and their standards and their importance are all set by society and the world. And remembering to maintain an eternal perspective of like, all these things on earth literally do not matter. Like, for me, social media, it's like followers and likes and all these things. Like that is not where I put my worth. You know, I as a human being have so much more to offer than just pretty pictures or like videos and stuff. And so for me, I was like kind of going through this mental crisis of, oh, well, I feel like I'm just not a cool girl on Instagram. And I'm like, but I don't want to be like a super cool girl on Instagram either, because sometimes like that doesn't make me feel good. And I never want my page or my content to make girls feel that way too. So this year I'm really just focusing on like in the moment capturing like fun videos, things that make me happy, even though like sometimes people may see that as like amateur or like whatever or messy. Like I literally don't care, because I need to make myself happy again with the content. Not that I wasn't proud of the content I was producing, but we're just in a different season, and in this season, this is what I need to be creating. So that, the second little note is, don't trade your life for temporary things. Anyone who gets distracted from the work I plan for him is not fit for the kingdom of God. And in 2021, I was definitely very distracted from, you know, like really giving God time. Like I would ebb and flow, but I would say a lot of 2020 was very Jesus heavy. And a lot of 2021, I got just so wrapped up in trying to like play catch up and make up for 2020's loss that I just put God on the back burner for a good chunk of the year. And then of course, like then I started feeling certain ways and I wasn't figuring out why. And I knew I wasn't spending as much time with God, but I was like, no, like it's a funk, like I just need to shake it. And of course, like it was simply a lack of God. And I wasn't necessarily doing too many things to further his kingdom in terms of like just sharing my morning reads, which I never realized so many people craved. And it's funny because I started posting more stuff recently and I noticed that like my views have plummeted. And usually that would like make me think, oh, like everyone hates me and like whatever. But no, it's literally, I totally firmly believe it's just because like Satan does not want me doing the work. And so he's gonna diminish those views and make them so much lower, because then he wants to get in my head of like, oh, well, no one wants to see this stuff, so like you shouldn't post it. And someone said, well, maybe it's because, you know, like your followers aren't Christian and blah, blah, blah. I actually have done like several polls over time, and like I have a pretty faith heavy following. And anytime, I mean, before when I was posting about my faith stuff, which was at least 5 times a week, which is a lot, I would be getting so many messages of like, oh my God, thank you for speaking out. Like this helps so much. Like so many girls who are influencers say they're Christian, but they never like help feed us or guide us or lead us or like influence us. And so thank you for this. And I like lost sight of that. And now I feel like Satan's really trying to attack me in my weak points, but it's like, I don't even care. Like that's fine. And again, the people who are meant to see my content will see my content, and we'll just work from here. But I don't even let that stuff bother me anymore. Like it's fine. We're not even untouched, baby. Okay. And then the next note is using money to help bring people to Christ. So you're not necessarily like buying friends or using your wealth to like lure people in. The concept was, you know, like when you are, especially when you are successful, like God is bringing you these successes. So one, you have to tithe. Like if you guys are not tithing, money is every human's biggest bondage. Like seriously. And if you're not giving that number one thing that is like pretty much everyone's like number one driving force in life to God, it's hard. It's really hard. And like Tyler, I have not missed a tithe in like 7 years. That's just always been something that I've been really dedicated on. And I also believe like as I continue to tithe, and sometimes I will tithe more than 10% or whatever, God replenishes that, if not, well, that plus more, not if not more, plus more, every Every time. Tyler started getting into that rhythm and like doing more tithing a couple years ago, and he got out of his credit card debt in under a year. And like we really thought like, oh my God, this is gonna take a really long time. Like the payments were low. No, seriously guys, tithing, money, you need to tithe 10% of your income. As soon as the paycheck gets in, 10% to the church. Don't even spend any other money yet, just do it. I swear you're gonna see God's hand on your finances when you start doing that. But anyways, so you're not using wealth to gain friends, but you're using that wealth to like create things that like may help people, or like put on events, or just do, like you're gonna use that money to do things to help others, you know? And so that was my thing this year. It's like, okay, like, you know, regardless if it's with what we have or what we're gonna get, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen. We're gonna be using our money to do so many things. And I'm like, okay, like bring it on. Like, I'm so excited to see where this is gonna go. Day 5, nighttime, was the first day of our church's conference called First Conference. It's the first conference of the year. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I went Friday night. John Bevere spoke. And I had never heard of him or his wife, but apparently they are extremely well known. Yeah, a lot of people were like, oh my God, I've read so many of his books, like they're amazing, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay. And he was talking about faithfulness. And one term that is not usually commonly a synonym for faithfulness is the word multiply. And here with the Bible and furthering God's kingdom, our job is to literally multiply, right? We are to multiply Christians and like make more Christians and like impact more people. We're multiplying. And he was talking about just maintenance and how those who multiply are those who are faithful, but those who maintain are wicked and lazy. And I was like, whoa, hold on, because typically you would think, okay, maintenance. Maintenance in our faith is just, you know, praying, reading the Bible, going to church, just trying to be a good human. Like that sounds like maintenance, right? But that's not, because by you maintaining, you're not using the gift that God has given you. So you're just staying stagnant. He used a, I think it was in Matthew. I'll link it. You guys can just watch it. I don't even know where my notes are. It's so weird. They just like somehow disappeared. But he was saying that like maintenance, if you're not using what God is giving you, he's going to strip it from you. And then therefore you can start with one, but if you're not doing anything, you're just maintaining it, he's going to take it away from you and give it to someone else. And like, how scary is it to be facing him on Judgment Day, and he'll be like, all right, like, how did you multiply? Like, what did you do to multiply? And you're sitting there like, oh, I didn't. Like, I just kept it within here. Like, I didn't really do much. And it was like, all right, well, you know, Ashley here was able to multiply and multiply and multiply like 11 times. Larry here was able to multiply 9 times. Like, how come you weren't able to multiply? And it just got me thinking like, oh shoot, like I need to use my gift that God has given me, which there's so many gifts now. There's not just one gift that God will give you. But for me this year, with like putting everything together, like the money and the finances and the wealth stuff to go multiply and do things and to like gain friends, and then your mission and my call to mission and everything, I was like, okay, I need to step in and really plug into doing something that umbrellas that. And then it brought me back to 2 weeks ago, or last week, our church works alongside with something called the Angel House. So the Angel House builds homes in India for abandoned children. There are thousands of abandoned children that just live on the streets. And so what Angel House does is they build homes, and then we clothe them, we feed them, we give them education, and then they are able to be set up for adoption. And so crazy, because when I was a younger kid, I don't know, maybe in elementary school, middle school, I used to sponsor, my dad helped me set this up, but I used to sponsor a kid in India. And I used to just, you know, we would help pay for things monthly, but I would also draw pictures and we would kind of just like write little notes to each other. And it's so funny how, I don't know, 20 years later, like I'm back in this position, except without the help of my dad. Like I'm now doing this, not just for one kid in India, but for 12 kids in India. So I say 12 is because I decided I'm gonna take that leap of faith and I'm gonna pledge to build a house for these kids in India through Angel House. So for us, a house of 12 or a house for 12 orphans or abandoned kids costs just under $23,000. So we have set up this fund. It's pretty much just kind of like a GoFundMe, and anyone can donate, but we have about a year to raise up all the money. And if we raise 100% of those funds, we also get invited to go to India to physically help build the house for the kids. And it's been on my heart to do a missions trip the last couple years. And even when we were at Rock Harbor, I was like, I really want to do something, but I never fully like got the chance to, or my heart and my mind just were not in the right place. And I was like, okay. And then again, like purpose-driven life, made for mission. It's so funny how I didn't have to go and pick up this book the night before I started my fast and reopen it, because it's been sitting on the counter for months. I walk past it every day. I'm like, I'll pick it up later. But of course, I was drawn to picking up the book, and I picked up from where I left off. At first, I was like, maybe I should just start from the beginning because like, let me refresh everything. But I'm like, no. Let's just start where we picked off from. And everything has just been connecting. So I set up that fund. I'll link it below too if you guys want to help donate or feel led, whatever. But I was like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna use our money, help kids. Now I can do my mission and go to different nations, because I firmly believe that we are going to meet the money that we need to make the house plus more. Like I really feel like we're gonna be able to donate way more. And then now I can go to a nation and help further the kingdom of God and help multiply. Like, whoa, everything. My head is just exploding of like everything coming together. And then, so that's all day 5. Like in what, a matter of 12 hours, like all of this stuff is happening. It's just wild when you step in. All you gotta do is step and lean in, and boom, God will give it to you on a silver platter, okay? All right, now day 6 of fast, which is today, Sunday. His wife spoke, and wow, like this girl is just goals, just literal goals. Not that I don't find a lot of like women funny, but sometimes I feel like when they crack jokes, I'm like, oh, like, okay, whatever. This girl is like funny, but also means business. She is so strong. She is just has so much like courage and like, like I looked at her and I'm like, you are such an exemplary person for so many people out there, not just women, but for men too. And also that she's such a big advocate for millennials and Gen Z. I feel like society a lot of these days really, we get like lost in the mix. And I feel like millennials, a lot of us are lost in our purpose. And then Gen Z is just like, oh, everyone just thinks Gen Z is out here to explode things and like flip tables and like whatever. And for some causes, like, yeah, definitely like call us out on our stuff. And we should also be calling like older generations out on stuff that hasn't been done correctly. But, you know, it's just like, I feel like there's just so much turmoil between all of the generations. And I love how she really poured into us specifically and was like, no, like you guys are so powerful. And if we just bridge the gaps, like, oh my God, the millennials of our generation would just explode and like really multiply. So I'm also gonna link her her sermon. Please guys watch it. Like, this couple is just wow, and I'm so happy that I went to the conference and was able to discover them, because I'm buying their books now. I can't wait to read. But one of the big things that really stood out to me was she was saying how, I also wrote it down, truth without love is harsh. And that was very much true for how I grew up in the church. My parents, and I feel like their generation, was just very strict. Everything was by the book, and you cannot use God's name in vain. And it was very fear-based, and that's why I stepped away from my relationship with God and Christianity for a really long time, because I'm just like, y'all like say this and judgment and all this, but you guys are also so judgy and so strict, and like, this is not even fun. Like, I don't understand the hype and like why you want me to step into this. Like, you make it like, it's like pulling teeth, and I just didn't even want to go to church at a certain point. And I was like, this is not it for me. So that was kind of like our parents' generation to millennials. And then now with like millennials to Gen Z, or just Gen Z speaking to millennials and the generation above us, it's like love without truth. That's what they, like, everything is just like love and feel good, but love without truth is still a lie. Like, it is a lie. So I'm gonna read that again. Truth without love is harsh. That makes people step away. Love without truth is a lie. And then you're not even teaching God's word at that point. Now it's just up for anyone's debate. Like, anyone can interpret things that the way that they want to, without actual doctrine backing up like what they're saying. And that's just not it either. So I feel like because millennials are kind of in the mix and middle of that, at least what I have learned, and now as she says that, it made a lot of sense to me. Like, I loved and I understand what my parents were trying to teach me, but they lacked so much love that I was like, there's no grace, there's no forgiveness, and this is just like, if I do anything wrong, I'm gonna feel so guilty and be like, I'm automatically going to hell. Like, God's not even gonna love me. There's no forgiveness aspect. But now that I have learned love and grace, and am really trying to practice it with like other people in my lives, or like followers who come at me foul, like anything, it makes this journey with God so much more like appealing and attainable, and it just makes sense. And I'm like, this is what it's about. And so it is up to our generation to preach both the truth and love. And that's what's really gonna set this world on fire and ablaze, and like really let us reach the nations. So yeah, and there's so many random notes, and like none of them really flow. It was just really like crazy things that she was saying. So please watch it. But the last thing that I really love that she said was, she was like, you know, do you ever feel like God's just like trying to consistently like clean you out and not change you, but like correct you and like discipline you and like make you learn lessons? And I'm like, oh my God, like every day, I feel like every day I'm just like, oh, like learning so many things. And not that I'm ever in a place where I feel like I need to catch a break, but it's like, like there's so much to be learned. I'm still being corrected, but that's fine. Like I see it as me being better. That's because God corrects his children. Like, and if he's not correcting you, you have not fully stepped into that journey with him yet. You are not like his kid yet, you know? And God is not going to discipline people who don't care about him. And so when she said that, I was like, wow, like, thank you. Like, keep this discipline coming, because he really is like, sees me and is like, yo, we're gonna use you. Like, you are gonna be doing things, you're gonna be making a difference. And in just these 3 YouTube videos, I've already had so much like positive feedback. So many of you girls being like, wow, I started purpose-driven life, but I kind of stopped. Now you want me to like, now you're getting me back into it. Or like, I was wanting to fast, but I wasn't sure, or I fell off of my fast, but you just gave me motivation to like continue going through with it. So many things, and like, wow, you know? And again, we're only on day 6. We still have 8 more days, and it's just, I haven't been so at peace with myself and with life, and just kind of like have this new found outlook where everything is just beautiful and peaceful. And when I found myself like leaving church, walking to my car, just smiling for no reason. I probably look so goofy, but like there's just so much joy. It just is exuding. And like, I just want to share this with everyone and like give this to everyone, because like, you guys, we can all be here. We can literally all feel like this. And there's so much pain. There's so much pain in the world. There's so much pain that has come from the last 2 years. And me and Tyler talk about this all the time. The devil has really used COVID and 2020 and like all this election stuff to divide. That is what the devil loves doing. He loves dividing. He loves breaking up marriages, dividing families, dividing friends. He wants division. He doesn't want there to be community, to be love. He wants people to feel so alone and so like, oh, you don't think like me, screw you, and to just like isolate themselves, that they just like drive themselves crazy. That's why the suicide rates are so high, and there's just so much hatred all the time. And if we fall victim to this, literally, like, we're just falling into his trap. You guys, we have to see the bigger picture here. We really have to see, like, there is such a strong spiritual warfare going on this earth right now. It's not just COVID and politics. Like, these are all things being masked because the Antichrist is not just a person. The Antichrist is an entire collection of a million different things that the devil is going to use to separate us. So like, really sit down, like assess how we've been falling victim to these things, because I definitely have. There's been so many times in the last couple years that I like snap and I'm just like, oh, this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, bring it back. Like, this is I'm letting the devil win right now. This is not what God wants. Let's get out of it. Let's take my selfish thoughts and opinions out of this, and let's remember what we are to do here. And we were made and born to live in this era for a reason. Like, we are not weak, okay? We are so strong, and with God, we are a million times stronger. And the Bible always says, like, Jesus said, we're gonna do so many miracles, more crazy miracles than he has. And I always thought, like, I don't know if I can do what Jesus has done, because he's done some really rad things that I'm like, that is just on a whole other level. But like, when you realize, like, it doesn't have to be those acts. Like, you don't know what things that you're doing. You may affect one person and you're that person's miracle, which is another person's miracle, which it's just like this huge spider web, you know? And that in itself is a miracle, but you may not see it. It may not be multiplying and feeding like 5,000 people with a couple loaves of bread, like that kind of stuff. But there is so much to be done. And yeah, like, I kind of tied in a lot of talking points right now with what Lisa had spoke about in her sermon. You guys, it was just so powerful. I have never been like, come on, like, yeah, like, okay, yes, like, I was so vocal, and I'm a very vocal person. Like, I'm the girl in church who, when we're worshiping, I'm jumping, I'm wailing my hands, and during church, I'm clapping. I'm like, yes, like, and I love that Oceans has like really helped bring that out, because I really wanted to be like that at Rock Harbor, but like, everyone's a little bit more quiet and shy and timid, so I never was able to like really fully do that, and I was like always scared. But now, like, Oceans, like, everyone is doing that. People are standing up, and it's just like, it gives me so much life. And that's why, like, I love Oceans, and Rock Harbor did so much good for me in that season in my life, but I'm in a new season now, and like, oh my God, Oceans has just completely unlocked so much more. Like, the Spirit of God is so strong at every single service. And if you guys are just looking for a new home church, and you guys are in Orange County or even LA, IE, like, come. Like, Tyler at first was like, oh, well, do we want to make the commute all the time? Like, it is further out than like other churches that we've been to, or other local churches. But I was like, you know, you make the commute for work every single day, even a longer commute for work. Like, why can't you make a commute for God? And as soon as I said that, he was like, dang, like you're right. Like I shouldn't even be worrying about like driving, you know? It's like at the end of the day, like if Jesus was showing up in Vegas on every Sunday, I will literally drive 4 hours back and forth every Sunday to go because it's Jesus. Like, you know, I was like, don't let the drive or the time like make you count it out. It's 30, 45 minutes. Okay, like is it once a week? Is that really that hard? Like it's not, you know, if you do live further out, if you live in OC, like freaking just come, like it's in your backyard. But yeah, so yeah, that was kind of just my day 4, 5, and 6. I'm so excited about the Angel House. I mean, $23,000 is a lot of money, but like I'm saying, and I'm just speaking this out to existence, I know we're gonna exceed that, even if it's not a lot of people helping us donate, and it's just kind of like, if God blesses us and we can really just pour thousands and thousands of dollars into our own Angel House, then so be it. Like we'll fund it and finance it ourselves somehow. But I really I just know that God is gonna show up and it's gonna be great. I'm so excited for 2020 now. Like I was when January rolled around, but I also wasn't. Something was lacking and it was this. It was all of this. It was less of me and more of God. He is greater than I. Yep. All right, guys. Well, I don't know where Tyler is, so maybe I'll have him make a cameo in tomorrow's fast or our next fast video. Anyways, check out the videos, check out the sermons, both John and Lisa's, guys. Seriously, it is so lit. It's gonna like, your mind is gonna be like boom, boom, boom. You're gonna get so much clarity from it. I swear, make it a point to read or watch. Okay, love you guys.